You know, we often imagine serial killers as just chaotic monsters, but some are far more terrifying.
Yeah, see, the true horror isn't found in rage. It comes from cold, obsessive planning.
This isn't some creature of impulse. This is an architect of a very personal, very specific ritual.
And for this kind of killer, the murder itself, it's almost not the point.
So where does this performance, this whole blueprint, where does it even come from?
Well, it all starts with this constant grinding pressure. It's fueled by a powerful inner fantasy.
Their internal fantasy. That becomes their true reality. It makes the everyday world seem, well, fake.
So they become absolutely driven to bring this dark inner world to life. And to do that, well, they've got to cast the roles for their play. The victim isn't seen as a person to hate or desire. No, they're just a prop for the script. This psychological jump, turning a person into an object, it's absolutely the most critical step. Right, and once the victim is cast in that role, the performance, the ritual itself, can finally begin.
And this ritual, it's everything to them. It's like a sacrament. Every single detail has to be perfect.
This is absolutely not about improvisation. It's all about perfectly executing that pre-written plan.
And think about this. Before the first victim is even chosen, they've already practiced for thousands of hours.
So this isn't some sudden act at all. It's the culmination of years of mental rehearsal. And that's why the mind of this killer isn't about chaos. It's all about a terrifying, pathological order. Their need for control is absolute, and their medium is the most terrible thing imaginable.
So, you see, that image of a chaotic monster, it completely misses the point.
So how does a ritualistic killer's mind work? What's the blueprint for their secret world?
It all starts with this deep split. A totally normal public life hiding a world of absolute power.
Out in the real world, they often feel completely insignificant. Powerless, maybe even invisible. Just look at Dennis Rader, the BTK killer. His day job? A total joke to his neighbors.
So that fantasy world becomes this crucial escape, a place where they're not just some guy, they're God.
And we're not just talking about a daydream.
This is a psychological fortress, built over a lifetime, brick by brick. Psychologists actually have a name for this, a paracosm, a whole universe built to fight off those real-world failures.
So you see the blueprint, right? It starts with feeling like a nobody and ends with total, absolute control.
But here's the thing, it's all about the details. This isn't some vague fantasy, it has a script.
BTK even named his core fantasy. He called it Factor X, and man, was it specific.
And the props for this play, they're not just tools, they're basically sacred objects for the ritual.
And this private world is always growing. It feeds on anything that fits into its complex script.
This whole thing creates a powerful psychological trap. Let's talk obsession versus compulsion. It becomes a full-blown addiction. The cycle is identical to a drug user's, no difference.
First up, the obsession. This fantasy gilds an unbearable tension, and it needs a release, badly.
And that's where the compulsion comes in. The ritual itself, well, that's the fix.
The result? A moment of relief. The internal noise just stops, but not for long.
Because just like with any drug, the dose has to go up to get the same high. It's a vicious cycle. What if we told you the most important part happens long before the actual attack?
For these predators, the hunt is the thrill. It's all about psychological excitement and power.
This is the exact moment a dark, private fantasy starts to bleed into the real world. And that first step, it's not random. Think of it more like a meticulous casting call. See, they're not looking for a person. They're looking for a prop for their fantasy.
And that prop has to be perfect. The look, the house, the daily routine, it all matters.
This kicks off intense surveillance, sometimes for weeks or even months. It's personal.
Every step is calculated to gain power and, assume total psychological control.
By watching constantly, the killer feels a sense of ownership, like they have godlike control.
In the predator's mind, the victim is already a character. They just haven't been told yet.
And this whole pre-crime phase, it's a huge narcissistic rush for them, the ultimate secret. They get to be a ghost, moving unseen through the victim's life, and that feels like power.
This leads to something truly disturbing, psychological contamination. It's not theft, it's about marking territory.
So they'll break in, handle personal things, maybe even leave a tiny secret mark behind.
While all this is happening, they'll often collect what are called pre-crime trophies.
Think of these trophies as an anchor, something to make the fantasy more intense before it happens.
It could be anything, really. A photograph or some other small personal item.
Taking these things makes the fantasy feel way more real and so much easier to rehearse.
So, for the predator, this entire hunt is just a period of controlled, exquisite tension.
Ever wonder how a monster can live a normal life right under everyone's noses?
The answer? It's a powerful psychological trick called compartmentalization.
Okay, so think of the mind like a house. Inside, there's a secret room, soundproof and locked for good.
What this does is create a total split. You've got the public self and then the hidden monster.
This public front? It's called the mask of sanity. And honestly, it's often flawless.
But this isn't just about hiding. It's all about feeding a deeper need, narcissistic power.
It really comes down to feeling superior. They have the ultimate secret, and they love watching everyone scramble. So in their own head, they're this invisible god, just playing a game with the whole world.
But here's the catch. This secret god, they've got a massive ego.
And you know, just like an artist, that ego needs recognition for their masterpiece.
So this starts a war inside their head. The need for total secrecy versus the craving for credit.
And that conflict? That's exactly why they start reaching out to police and the media.
I mean, think about it. The Zodiac Killer sent ciphers. BTK sent those taunting letters. It's a pattern.
It's like they're a movie director demanding a review, desperate for a critic to praise their genius.
And this need to reach out, well, that's the beginning of the end for them.
From here, their downfall is pretty much guaranteed. The boasting creates a trail, which leads to fatal mistakes.
As they boast, they get sloppy. They leave clues, DNA, even digital footprints.
So here's the ultimate paradox. The very thing that made them is what guarantees they get caught.
It's like the final act. The ghost needs an audience so badly, it's finally forced onto the stage.
Which leaves us with a haunting question. What if this fatal flaw isn't a weakness, but just part of the monster?